Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7. In today's video we're going to look at one of the best bang for your bucks in the entirety of GT7. Of course I'm talking about the pretty extreme KTM X-Bow. But before we do get into the video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe and turn your notifications on so you don't miss an upload from me. Now in terms of the KTM X-Bow, this is the X-Bow R from 2012. As you can see, it retails at 100,000 credits, which is a massive bargain for a car rated at 590.43 pp. In terms of the specs, as you can see, the displacement 1984cc and MR drivetrain, 298 brake horsepower, weighing only 790 kilograms, and is turbocharged. That's a serious amount of bang for your buck, an absolute bargain if you ask me. So let's go ahead and actually review the KTM X-Bow. For me, this is up there as one of the craziest cars in the entirety of Gran Turismo 7. For me, the KTM X-Bow sits in the same category of these sort of track day toys like the Aerial Atom and of course the BAC Mono. They are massively extreme vehicles. You can tell just by looking at the X-Bow how extreme it is. It's got this very sort of chunky look, but also very kind of short wheelbase, open top, only 2 seats, carbon fiber planted everywhere, the suspension on show, you can see absolutely everything working. Honestly, they are practically go-karts for the road. They are insanely extreme, they look extreme, and they also go extreme. So the KTM definitely ticks all the boxes to be one of Gran Turismo 7's most extreme looking cars, and it's the exact same when it comes to the performance. This thing is absolutely mind-bending. Again, when you think this thing is available to drive on a road, it's ridiculous in terms of its performance, but where it really stands out is the fact that it's 300 brake horsepower, which doesn't sound like much, but couple that with a vehicle that only weighs 790 kilograms and you can get the gist of exactly what the KTM's all about. It's extreme, it's lightweight, and in terms of the performance, it's very maneuverable, pretty much a road going go-kart. There's no other way to actually explain this vehicle. It's a go-kart for the road with a passenger seat. That's pretty much all you get. It's extreme inside and out. The only real change you need to make to this car is just stick some slicks on it and you pretty much got a pre-made race car. It's insane just how good this thing is. And that's going to lead me into the key talking points. Acceleration, it has that in spades. There is a lot to love about the acceleration of this thing. It just launches and almost feels like it's going to suck your face off in VR. It's incredible just how good it overall feels. Then we have the handling itself. Whilst it might look quite a chunky looking vehicle, you can really hammer this car around pretty much any circuit in game. No matter where you go, you will probably have a blast with the KTM. The only real place you probably wouldn't want to take it is of course on the likes of ovals, but any other racetrack in the entirety of Gran Turismo 7, I can guarantee you're going to have a blast with this thing. So it has the looks, it has the handling, and it has the acceleration. If I had to be nitpicking, then honestly the only real downside is the overall top speed, but that's kind of to be expected. That's not what the KTM is all about. When you think that you're putting out 100,000 credits on this go-kart like vehicle, it can quite easily rival some of the fastest supercars around a track in game, and those things will cost you upwards of 1,000,000 credits more. See, the key selling point for me when it comes to this vehicle isn't how extreme it looks, isn't how extreme the performance is, it's actually the performance to price ratio. 100,000 credits in GT7 is absolute peanuts, and of course, like I mentioned, the performance you can get out of this thing is ridiculous. 100,000 credits as a base vehicle for the amount of speed, handling and acceleration you get is just insane, and for me that is definitely the key reason you actually want to pick this car up. It's a bit of a hidden gem when it comes to Gran Turismo 7. It's not a car that many people mention or talk about, but definitely when it comes to fine-tuning the thing and getting it rated up to 600, 700 pp, you've got an absolute killer of a vehicle here for a very minimal price. So in terms of the X-Bow, we're going to cross the line with the standard version and check in where it comes. As you can see, it comes 10 out of 11th, so it does absolutely smash the likes of the M397. However, when we look at the cars that it's almost rivaling, it almost rivals the Ferrari F430, which is a car that is going to cost you upwards of double the KTM's price, and it's only a few seconds off it, and that is just mainly due to the overall top speed on that big straight. But what about when it comes to upgrades? Now this is where the car really stands out. You don't have to spend much on upgrades to get this thing ranked to 600 or 700 performance points, and it will sit almost fully upgraded at 700 pp and still react just like a little absolute pocket rocket. It's insane just how cool this car is when you start throwing some slicks on it, a bigger turbocharger and some better suspension. So let's think about what really inspired me to make this video. It was actually the sheer amount of comments I get on the BAC Mono. Of course, the Mono is a much more expensive vehicle, and overall it does sit as a firm fan favourite at 700 pp. So I thought, well, why not go and check out its closest rival, which is the KTM X-Bow. And overall I had an absolute blast with the KTM, much more so than the BAC Mono, let alone the sheer amount of less credits I actually had to put out in comparison to what I did with the BAC Mono. If you are on a budget and you want a cheap 700 pp grinding car, then honestly the KTM is definitely going to be the one for you. So if you're on a budget, I would certainly say pick the KTM over the BAC Mono. However, I'm going to make another bold statement for the KTM here. In terms of the driving pleasure, the KTM X-Bow definitely feels the more dynamic of the two. One of the coolest features is actually seeing all of the suspension working as you hit the curbs or thrash it around the corners. It looks absolutely incredible. And in terms of the way it drives, I do actually prefer the KTM over the BAC Mono. For me, the Mono feels quite stiff, where we do have this very dynamic feeling to the KTM X-Bow. So if I had to say choose between the two, definitely go for the KTM over the Mono. So I guess in conclusion, it does feel that the KTM X-Bow is a bit of a hidden gem when it comes to Gran Turismo 7 and is definitely not talked about enough. As you can see from our fully upgraded leaderboard, this sits 6th overall and does beat the likes of the Impreza rally car, the Celica rally car, the F430, and even nearly knocks out that 430 Scuderia from its 5th place spot on a massively decreased budget. So in the end, I have decided to go back and talk about the KTM X-Bow. This was a car that I've not really touched since really kind of the early days of Gran Turismo 7, and I'm pleased to report after all this time it still remains as an absolute bargain in game, and in terms of the price to performance rating, it still is insane as ever. Also on the new update, I do find that the handling is much more dynamic, so definitely don't sleep on this one. I'm happy to report that it still feels like one of the hidden gems of Gran Turismo 7. A big thank you to all of my channel members listed on screen now, and a big thank you to you guys watching at home. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Take care guys, peace.